Hello FlossTube Stitchers, my name is Shelly and this is video number 137 for my channel, Just Stitching Inc. And obviously I still don't know how to dress for camera. I had on this cute white top with a really pretty snowman pin and I almost blinded myself when I looked into the camera. So I had to go get the scarf that went with my coat today. I had to wear the scarf. So otherwise there wouldn't have been a video or you would have all been doing this. So anyway, I'll get it together one of these days. So today I'm here to talk to you about my first hashtag NYE12x12, which was the challenge shared by Kia B and Pam of Just Keep Stitching. And I was intrigued by it. And I thought it was a great way to get your projects organized for the new year. Not that I needed any more whips, but I did have just a lot of things in my stash that I would see other people stitching, or I would see a finish on social media. A customer came in the store the other day and said, "Do you have this?" And I go, "Yes, I do, and I really need to stitch that next year." So that's kind of where my head was, just to get a good start on the new year. And I had very good intentions. I will be very honest that I didn't succeed totally in my plans, but I am very satisfied with what I got accomplished. So it was supposed to start at noon on Saturday the 31st, and family responsibilities got in the way and regular life got in the way. And I didn't start until about 2:30 in the afternoon. So it was a little hard to keep track of my time since I started on the half hour, but I kept jotting notes down, and I was keeping track of what I was watching. Most of it was DVR, so I could start it whenever I wanted. So this is approximately how it went. I had a really nice hearty brunch first, and I'll have photos at the end. And while I was running my errands in the morning, it was the last day to buy a gift card at the Human Bean. And it's a coffee shop that's right across the street from where my mom is in memory care. And so I've gone there a few times. And I was going to buy the gift certificate for myself, of course. And you got a free 20-ounce drink. So I thought, well, I might as well swing by there. And instead of making my fancy coffee at home, I'll just pick that up on my way home. And yeah, so that's about how it went. So I had brunch first, and then I started with my projects. So the first project was coffee first. Yay, first. And I was drinking the candied peppermint granita is what I got. So I was drinking the coffee as I was stitching this. So coffee first, from With Thy Needle and Thread, and I've had this for a couple years. Maybe I might not have taken it home the very first year it came out, but I really have been drinking coffee almost daily for the past couple years, so I thought it's time that I did some things for my tiered tray and to do some of the coffee things that have been piling up in my stash. I'm using 36 count vintage country mocha. I think she called for 40, and most of my procrastination for starting this was trying to decide how big I wanted it to be. And then I thought, you know what, just go in your fabric stash and find a piece of fabric and start. It doesn't matter. However you finish it, it will either be a little frame, an easel, something for the tiered tray. It really doesn't matter because it's kind of the first finished thing I'm gonna have for my coffee bar atmosphere. So I'll just work everything else around it. So here's what I got done. This, of course, was not the first hour. I did maybe 4 of the coffee beans and some of the green, but I did also work on it on Whip Wednesday. So that's what I got done for that. Then my second one has also been in my stash for a while. This was part of the Sunday Stitches from Heartstring Samplery in 2021. And I really liked all of them, and I could see how with the color scheme that she was using that they would all look really good together. And they weren't all the same size, so they could be, you know, mixed up in a grouping, and it didn't really matter what you stitched it on. But I really wanted to mimic the yellow that she used, which is a fabric that I don't think I can get. she used a different fabric for everything, just from her stash from various places. And I believe this is something from a company that may not sell wholesale. So I was waiting for the right yellow to come through. And this past summer, I ended up getting Vintage Sahara, which is one of the Zweigart, it's the old vintage line. The first day, you know me, I'm a center starter. So I think I started with the middle R in Fortress. And I think I got most of that word done the first day, but then I've worked on it again this week. So I 3 out of my starts I kept working on. So I'm using 1 strand and just doing the words in the dark color, which is Fathom, and I'm using the colors that she called for the most part so far. I wasn't sure about the coverage, and I thought, don't second guess yourself, because I kind of like the idea of it looking like a vintage stamped cross stitch where you can see a lot of color through the stitching. And when I got to the yellow flower at the bottom, I knew I was on the right track because 1 strand is covering it perfectly. And then the words actually didn't bother me anymore. I may change one of the greens because I think there are 4 greens and they're not showing up the way they show up on the front cover, so different dye lots. In fact, one of them is Poblano Pepper, and I accidentally left it at home. I was going to show you the difference between hers and mine. One of the flowers is done in Brethren Blue and Poblano Pepper, and it goes very nicely with the Fathom, but I feel like it's too much green for me. I want to make it a little more blue, and when I started stitching with my Poblano Pepper, I knew it was way too green for the flower. So to go with my general decorating scheme, which has a lot of blue in it, see if I can hold all this up together. I'm going to switch it to Blue Corn and Banker's Gray. Okay, so over here is what I'm going to switch it to, and those colors still look really good with the Fathom. I love her colors. They look great. I just want it to be a little more blue for me. So I'm very excited about this. I know I'm going to keep working on this, and you will see a framed finish not too far in the future. Alrighty. Okay. And when I was stitching that, I was watching Home Economics, which is a sitcom. I watched the Thanksgiving and the Christmas episode to keep in the holiday theme. All right, then hour 3. As you can see, some of these are little, but that's okay. I wasn't going to try to start a dozen huge projects. That would be unrealistic for me. So this is a little one that I had in my stash. I'm doing it on, it calls for 28 count, and I'm using 36. I thought it was 32, but I think it's 36. And this is a 3-dimensional charm, the pumpkin, and I'm a fan of the more flatter charm, so I had already decided that no matter what I stitched this on, I was going to use the pumpkin as a part of the finish, you know, with the bow, or I was going to include it someplace else in the finish, but I wasn't going to put it here anyway, so it doesn't matter that my design is going to come out smaller. So this was just a scrap piece. It's Picture This Plus, obviously. That's their style. I think it might be doubloon, but this is older, so the new fabrics coming in no longer look like this. So I thought, well, this is perfect. I had it in my stash thinking that this was a really good color for fall. So that's all I got done. I'm like, seriously, in an hour, that's all I got done? Anyway, that'll be a really quick finish too. Okay, and then while I was stitching that, I was watching Restoration Road. Shoot, I just forgot the guy's name, but I think, oh, Clint Harp, and he was the woodworker for another one of the HGTV was it Joanna Gaines? I think he was the woodworker for her show. That's how I knew about him. So when I saw that he had this series where they restore like old barns and things. So the episode I watched was the Vermont Corn Crib Cabin. And if you like antique buildings and just want to see something other than a house being renovated, his series is really good. Okay, and then hours 4 and 5. Okay, this is depressing because I must have been looking up too much at the movie I was watching because I didn't get very much done, but I have down hours 4 and 5. Of course, I was watching it on DVR, so I can't remember whether I sped through the commercials or not, so I might have interrupted myself to go through the commercials. But anyway, I was watching Hallmark's 3 Wise Men and a Baby for the second time, but it still had some really cute parts that I wanted to watch, so I wasn't always looking at my stitching. Anyway, so this is hours 4 and 5. And this was the one that a customer had just asked for. She was looking for a couple different Christmas ones or different 12 days of. And I thought, shoot, I've had this at home for the longest time. I knew I wanted to use the fabric they suggested and I wasn't going to change any colors. I love it just the way it is. And this was the year I was going to get this done. Because I've been not stitching too many large Christmas pieces. And I felt like I needed one. It'll look really nice in my dining room because it's green walls. So that's what I was working on. And this is this is all I got done. I feel like I might have made a mistake in my notes because I just feel like this is crazy that this is all because the fabric was already cut. That's all I got done. It was part of a word. So I don't know, I might have screwed up my list here of what I was stitching when, but that's all I got done on that, which is surprising to me because I probably should have left this for later on in the evening so that I could have just kept on stitching on it. I don't know why I started it earlier in the day, but I know that will get finished this year too. I'm very motivated. All right, then hour 6 was heart and hand needle art, seasonal etchings. Oh, you know what I should have said before? I had some rules in place for myself. It had to be, well, I was originally intending on doing 12 and I didn't make it, but anyway, I did 10. Spoiler alert, I only did 10. So I wanted it to be, I had 12 planned. It just got out of hand and I actually, I didn't do these all on December 31st either. So, what was I going to say? I said I wasn't going to edit. I was going to go straight through. So I had these rules for myself. I wanted it to be 12 different designers. You know, as a shop owner, I like to show different things. I wanted to use a variety of fabric, including Aida, perforated paper, and silk gauze. And I wanted there to be, well, I wanted a couple of the ones that had been in my stash for a while, like really seriously. You know you want to stitch this, so this has to be one of your choices. I wanted to do something that showed all 4 seasons in one piece, and so this is what I did for that. And these were originally in the Primitive Punch Needle and Primitive Stitcher magazine. I always say it backwards. And I love them from the very first one. They were in 4 different issues. And I didn't start right away because I thought, do I want to do those as individuals? Should I wait and see what else she has in the series? And then I think I caught word that they were going to come out later in a leaflet. So I decided to do this as my 4-season project. And the other thing I'll show you, this is an edition that wasn't in the magazine. And I know you can't see the whole thing. It says The Seasons, and there's little motifs for all 4 seasons in it. So anyway, I'm excited about that, and being only a couple colors, I know that that I'll get through that quickly too. I'm using the colors that she suggested, and this piece of fabric was in my stash. It's a 30 count R&R from back in the day. I don't know what the color was, but it doesn't matter because it's not available anymore anyway. They don't dye the same colors, or if they do, if the coffee dyes are similar to what they did before, they don't show up the same on the different base fabric. So it doesn't matter, but you can see it's one of those real messy, wrinkled ones from their earlier days. So, and for this, I was watching an episode of The Kitchen called Brunch in Bed. All right, and then the next, let's see, hours 7 and 8, my husband and I watched a movie together. It was probably a little bit less than that because it was a movie with no commercials. It's a DVR that we own. It was a Disney movie. I think he bought it for me for Christmas one year. He used to buy me, he had like his set 5 things he used to buy me every year, and one of them was a Christmas movie. So it's a Disney, it's called Good Luck Charlie, and I think it might have been a series, but the movie was Good Luck Charlie, It's Christmas. So I did 2 projects while we were watching that movie. The first one was Buzz from Bent Creek. Seriously, people, you know how long? Okay, 2001. 2001. This has been in my, and it almost didn't make the cut because this was a last minute substitute because I had a design, now I can't even remember which one it was. It was a bee. It was the honeybee silk gauze from Erica Michaels, and my week just got away from me and I never got it sewn onto fabric, so I could not start that. And I thought, let me just grab another bee. And I thought, yes, this should have been in my lineup because this is one of the oldest charts that I have that I've never stitched. And I know it'll go really fast. They stitched it on a color that's no longer available, so it doesn't matter. And I have this weird little long scrap of, I don't know, it's a Picture This Plus. And it's a little more gold than it appears in the picture. It's kind of showing up green. It's a little more gold than that. But I wouldn't put this in one of my remnant bags because it's too weird, but I always take these home because I know I'm going to find, you know, something to do on it. So that's all I got done. But this is another one that will eventually, I mean, it'll get done pretty quickly. Then the second hour, to keep with the bee theme, I forgot to take this out of the plastic, but I'm doing Honeybee from Mill Hill. This is a fairly new kit. Yeah, this was a 2022 and it came out in the spring. So I've had this for a while. I knew I wanted to do this to add to my bee collection. And I didn't accomplish very much. This is honestly one of those pieces that I would rather sit at the dining room table and not wait and put the beads on later. They tell you to do the stitching first and then put the beads on, but a lot of the beads are sewn on with the gold floss and the black beads are sewn on with the black floss. So it was a little hard to count around the beads, and I left my tails in case I made a mistake so that I could easily take it out. So this is not going to be a watching TV project. This is going to be a dining room table with the light as bright as it can get. But I'm motivated to do this, and it's a really easy finish. It just goes in a frame. And this is using one of their colored perforated paper. It comes in the kit. Alrighty. Then that was all I did on New Year's Eve. That's all I did. Let's see, we watched the movie, and then, yeah, that was Saturday. You know, I think I stitched after that, but I think I might have gone back and worked on one of the other. I might have gone back to work on a Mighty Fortress later. Maybe, I can't remember if I was too tired to start something new, or if I was trying to decide if I was going to really cut myself off or if I was going to keep on going. Because my notes say that my next stitch wasn't until Sunday, the 1st, and so that's hour 9. And Christmas in the Round is something that I've wanted to do. And the designer actually shows this finished a couple different ways. I'm not going to open this up because it has the chart in there. But this is on a plate. And then this is the word joy. That's like a freestanding, it's just a freestanding word, but she ended up using the O part to put the stitching on. And then this is a freestanding snowflake decoration. Well, I thought about, it took me a while to figure out the fabric for this, but I did end up using a scrap of something. But I had just done Winter in the Round, and discovered that I do have a snowflake, but this is the big snowflake, not the little snowflake. It's stitched over one, but it's still on the bigger of the two snowflakes at Hobby Lobby, I think. And I have the small, and I was already going to do winter in the round with some kind of a snowflake finish. So I thought, I also have this, and I'm not always a fan of red and green for Christmas. I don't know. So, tell me I'm crazy, but I decided on black. So I'm using 32 count opalescent white Belfast. You can hardly see, there you can see the sparkle a little bit. I'm using mascara from Weeks Dye Works because it was handy. I couldn't find a skein of Anchor Black to save my life, even though I must have tons in the house. I went around looking through kits and I couldn't find it, so I'm using mascara. And I have this vision, sorry for jumping around a little bit, but I have this vision, instead of the twisted cord, I envision some kind of eyelash chenille or something in white or white and black. And I just think the red, white, and black will be really striking. And I have the entryway, I have my grandmother's desk, and then I have a black and white display of pictures and things that stays up all year. And so this finish will go on the desk. So I'm thinking black and red. Okay, so I think it'll turn out. I can see it in my head. All right, then, so that was Sunday, and I was watching Hallmark. I was watching The Dog Lover's Guide to Dating. Then, hours 10 and 11, I binge watched the last 3 episodes of Fire Country. And this is what I stitched on. Winter notes. I've always wanted to do one of the notes. I had a couple of them in my stash, but we have models of the autumn and the Thanksgiving. So I knew I didn't really want to do those. There was no reason for me to do those because we already have models for the shop that are generously loaned to us and hardly ever go home. Maybe they've never gone home. So I thought, well, winter would be good. And I started off, this is 32 count slate Belfast from Zweigart. And I started off with the little female snow lady. And this is with 2 strands of floss. And I was fighting it and just trying to make sure all my X's looked good. And I thought, why am I fighting this? Maybe I should just be doing 1 strand. And so I thought, well, I'm going to not finish her. I'm just going to leave it the way it is. And then I started with 1 strand on the gentleman. And I like the way he's turning out. Once again, after I have this internal struggle with myself, I read the instructions on the chart. And they did 32 count with 1 strand. Duh. If I had read that, it would have given me more confidence to start with 1 strand in the first place. So obviously I stitched for several hours on this and got a lot more done. So that's that. Winter Notes by Shepherd's Bush. So that took care of Sunday. And then I'm like, well, I did 9 out of 12. And then I thought, oh, just do 10. Just, I don't know, just round it out and do 10. So this book, I was trying to decide which one to do. One of the reasons I hesitated was because I want to do all of them in here. But I chose the Halloween basket. And I wanted to do, I didn't get any Aida in the mix this time, just by virtue of what fabric I had in my stash. I did get perforated paper, but I wanted to do something on 25 count. So I said, no matter which one I pick out of this 13 Spooky Smalls, it's going to be 25 count, which I think all of theirs maybe are. So I knew there was a lot of good choices that I had in stock. But this was a weird little remnant of Vintage Stormy Night, Lugana. And I'm using mascara because I had a couple skeins of that and I had just been using it the night before. So I just grabbed that to do the black. And I'm using Weeks Dye Works Persimmon instead of the solid color DMC because I love that color and I had used that for another of their Halloween designs, and I thought it turned out nice. So there you go. I did 10, spread over parts of 3 days, but again, like I said, life just got in the way. But I'm very pleased with what I accomplished. I'm anxious to see what you guys have done, and if you use the hashtag NYE12X12, don't put 12BY12, it's X in the middle of it. I was Team New Starts. There's also Team Whips, and there's also Team Stitch X, Half X Stitch. Oh shoot, now I forgot. I just watched Kia B's video this morning, and there's another one if you did half whips and half new starts. So anyway, I'm going to be checking out other people's, I'm going to check out the hashtag to see what other people have done. So anyway, I don't know if the Christmas video is going to be next week or the week after, but I'll see you next Sunday with something. Okay, bye-bye.